Our next guest spoke for 25 hours and 5 minutes, breaking the Senate record for the longest speech to draw attention to the administration's efforts to cut agencies and lay off critical workers. Senator Cory Booker from my home state of New Jersey joins us now. Senator, thank you for your time.
Thank you for this. This is extraordinary. One of the worst poverties in our country is often a poverty of empathy. More Americans need to hear these stories and understand how they are being hurt by the cuts of these folks who are providing such essential services in our nation.
Well, it is a complicated story because on one hand, our federal workers, they are the fabric that sews the country together and makes the government work. But on the other hand, there's a big appetite for the idea of DOGE. So when you look at the concept of DOGE, do you start to say maybe our government is too big?
Well, first of all, let's understand the facts. This is arithmetic. This is not politics. They said at first they were going to cut $2 trillion, quickly back down to $1 trillion. And now Elon Musk has admitted he's only saved $150 billion. But here's the pain, is he cost, through his buyouts, reckless firing, rehiring, lawsuits and all, more than $150 billion. This president who said he was going to cut costs has actually increased federal spending more than any other president. He is the biggest spender in his first 100 days. And the hidden costs, when you cut people from an agency like IRS, who are involved in doing the complicated, going after the complicated tax returns of the richest Americans, when you devastate that, the Independent Budget Office for the United States says you're costing us, Americans, billions and billions of dollars. So there's no cuts here. What's being cut is the services from Americans. What's added to is added to the pockets of people like Elon Musk, who make over $30 billion in contracts. He didn't cut any of that, anything that would touch his business enterprises. And then on top of that, they're going to push us further into debt by giving some of the most big historic tax breaks to the wealthiest in this country. This is a scam. There are people in front of us getting hurt, but the biggest losers in this scam that are really being taken advantage of in this grift are the American people.
The execution of it, you've laid it out, is clearly not working. But I go back to, there still is this idea from the American people that the government is too big or we have to cut waste and fraud. I mean, there's a CNN poll out today that was astounding. Though people are unhappy with the economy, though they're worried about the cuts, President Trump still polls better than VP Harris. And that might be in the past, but what you are now charged with is presenting what the future solution is. So besides laying out what Trump is doing and how wrong it is, what do Democrats have to present that's so right? Because the status quo is not what people voted for.
I'm not speaking for Democrats writ large, but I will tell you this. There's nobody in the United States Senate who actually managed things before they got there. There are governors, there are county executives, and people like me that was mayor that cut government as much as I did. In the middle of the recession, we shrunk the size of Newark's government 25%. But we didn't do it by executive fiat. You need to do it in a way that respects the legislature. As one of your guests has already said, these programs were created in a bipartisan manner. So Trump is doing this in a way that's violating our Constitution. We did it with transparency. We brought in experts, and we found ways to create efficiencies and savings for the taxpayers. There's a way to create a more efficient government. But what they're doing right now is creating less efficiency, stealing services from Americans, hurting our future by interrupting our NIH funding, science, research, our fights against infectious diseases abroad by the courageous USAID workers who are on the front lines of things like Ebola or treatment-resistant tuberculosis. They're hurting our veterans because the majority of the workers, the biggest group of people they're firing right now are our veterans who have such a commitment to service. So again, we need to start having a better vision of government because I'm upset. I think that you see Ezra Klein, who just wrote this amazing book called Abundance. We have not been able to do big things again. Why can Chinese build thousands of miles of high-speed rail? Even the French from Marseille to Paris have a high-speed rail. We couldn't do it still yet. Billions of dollars spent between San Francisco and Los Angeles. We have to be able to make our government better, more efficient, more effective. But the way they're going about it, to me, is not just grift and a scam, because they're rising government spending, hurting the services Americans receive, creating more deficit, and protecting billionaires, not to mention allowing Elon Musk to have access to our most private information that they're scraping.
We're going to talk about that.
But the biggest thing I want to tell you is what they are messing up big in a way that should anger every American is we are losing services, from veterans services to healthcare services to school lunch services. We are losing services. And the people who are billionaires and millionaires right now, or people like Elon Musk, are getting the tax break, and by eviscerating people like inspector generals, we are losing the most important thing in government, which is accountability.
We're talking to an inspector general next. Quickly to our audience, when the president won the election, show of hands, did you think you would lose your job? Yes? But a lot of folks didn't. I want to actually play a bit of that 25-hour and 5-minute speech you gave on the Senate floor. Take a look at this.
This has ruined me. My mortgage payment isn't what makes me cry, though. It's our local staff and partners that come to mind every night as I say my prayers. When I close my eyes, the specter of very real people from my travels and projects appear, and I hear the echoes of suffering they shared with me. Suffering they were sure to know was alleviated, however temporarily, by the United States of America through USAID.
That was a letter you received
from
Catherine Baker from Neptune, New Jersey.
Oh, my God.
Senator Booker, Catherine Baker.
Oh, my God.
So
Your letter blew me away. Your heart and your compassion.
Thank you.
While you were going through so much, for you to show your care for the work you were all doing. You're an extraordinary American.
Thank you so much. That means the world.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere, Senator. Catherine, this is the first time that the two of
I
you
am blown away.
have met.
So am I.
What is it like for you to meet Senator Booker, know that he read your letter into the record there on the floor of the Senate?
I was shocked when it was happening. I never thought, and this is just key for everyone to know, do write your representatives, because maybe they don't read it themselves right away, but their amazing staff does. So for me, it means the world to have my voice elevated, but also you have no idea the amount of people that have contacted me, some of my colleagues here in the audience, my dear friend Julia Hurley, whose letter you read right before mine. These people reached out to me and they said, for the first time, I was able to show my friends, my family, what this work meant. My 20-year-old daughter looked at me and said, Dad, I get it. I get why you're going to miss this job. And so thank you for helping us articulate that, which us in the USAID community have been screaming about since January 24th.
The thing that broke me as I read your letter, my voice broke, because here you were, not sure how you get your mortgage payment. You said you applied for something like 60 jobs, only got 2 interviews. You were clear living, but the thing you said you were most concerned with, and this is the truth about our workers, the people that are here, our federal workers, they're so vilified, demeaned, and degraded by this president. But so many of them I meet around the country, their biggest conviction is not themselves, it's the American people they serve, and you clearly are that kind of person.
The word suffering, Catherine, came up in your letter, the suffering of other people. It wasn't about you, and I think that that's such a common thread with so. What is it about all of you that's the common thread? You're thinking about the suffering of others.
I think it's because we are proud Americans, and we know that even though this is a difficult time, we are blessed to live in the country in which we live. And we know that so many of our colleagues, so many of our local partners are foreign service nationals who serve this country diligently, have been treated terribly. We know that they are going to go without access to food, to medicine. They are going to suffer from conflict, violence. And so we feel compelled to speak up for them. And I want to recognize all of those foreign service officers and foreign service nationals who serve this country.
Right. For 1%, every dollar you send to the federal government, less than 1% would go to the work you're doing. And that void now around the world is being filled by the Chinese. And I just want to say something. This kid, and forgive me for calling you a kid, you're so much younger than me, but what is he doing, choosing with his life? Like the veterans that are here, he's choosing to do a teacher. You didn't choose to teach kids because of the money. You didn't choose to be a Park Service ranger, as many federal government, not
Sam
for the
wore
money.
a sweatshirt, Senator, to the event tonight.
Yes. You chose it because you love to serve. So many of the people that I meet that are serving our veterans, that are serving our elderly, that are serving young people, they want to do it for the love of service, not for their money. And for them to be characterized as somehow getting over the American people is so offensive to me. And this, to me, is a great way of showing what the tragedy is.
Ladies and gentlemen, Catherine Baker, guys.
Yes, God bless you. Thank you.
But then, Senator, The amount of disrespect that we have seen and chaos over the last 100 days, the thing the country needs is not an either or, it's to heal.
Yes.
How are we going to do that?
Yes. I will tell you right now, the way to do it, is first and foremost, we have to get people to see each other and understand each other. This demonization, this tribal demonization in our country really is an assault on the character of all of us. There are good people that work in this nation, and I've been hearing from government workers that are Republicans and Democrats.
There are good people who are mad at the government. There are good people who voted for Donald Trump. There are good people who wonder where their tax dollars go.
And that is why, more important than ever, we need to start telling the stories of the work that we're doing and the mission that we have, and telling the truth. I just have to tell you, I think politicians writ large have not been laying it plain as much as possible. We do have a debt problem in the United States of America. We are borrowing from our children, racking up staggering debt. We who used to run local governments and state governments didn't have the luxury of printing money and creating such a stratospheric debt. And so we have to have a real conversation about doing it. But I'm going to tell you this right now. Most Americans cannot afford a $1,000 hit to their budget. They've seen stagnant wages for a generation. But the wealthiest in this country have created staggering wealth at levels never before seen in humanity. And yet, what has Donald Trump said to them is, I'm going to give you more tax cuts. His last tax cut plan, over 80% of it went to the wealthiest 10% of Americans. And so there is resources. We're a wealthy country. We can do this in a different way that brings in more revenues, lowers expenditures, creates more efficiency, but keeps doing the sacred mission that all of these folks signed up to do.
Senator, thank you for joining us tonight. Give him a round of applause. When we come back,